In some ways, lithium is more similar to magnesium, which is in group 2, than the other metals in group 1. This is sometimes referred to as a diagonal relationship, and it is due to the similarity in the ionic radii and the charge or radius ratios of these two elements. Compared to the other metals in group 1, lithium has a smaller radius and a higher charge or radius ratio, resulting in some anomalous behavior. In what respects is lithium atypical? It is denser and harder than the other members of its family, and its melting and boiling points are higher than the other alkali metals. Lithium is the least reactive element in the family, yet it is the best reducing agent. If you look at the table of standard reduction potentials, lithium is at the bottom of the table. This means that for the group 1 metals, lithium has the strongest tendency to oxidize. So, lithium is at the top of the activity series for single replacement reactions. Additionally, lithium chloride is the only alkali metal chloride that forms a hydrate, lithium chloride dihydrate. The chloride salts of the other alkali metals are anhydrous. In many ways, lithium is an exceptional alkali metal. Its compound with the hydrogen carbonate ion is not isolated in the solid state. It does not form an ethanide compound when reacting with ethine. When lithium nitrate is heated, the decomposition reaction results in lithium oxide. However, other alkali metal nitrates form nitrites when heated. This is shown in the equations. Lithium nitrate decomposes to form lithium oxide, nitrogen dioxide, and oxygen gas, whereas the decomposition of sodium nitrate yields sodium nitrite and oxygen gas. The fluoride and oxide salts of lithium are less soluble in water than the same salts formed from the other alkali metals. For example, only about 0.13 gram of lithium fluoride will dissolve in 100 grams of water. But it's possible to dissolve about 4 grams of sodium fluoride in 100 grams of water at the same temperature. The diagonal relationship between lithium and magnesium was mentioned earlier in this module. Lithium and magnesium have some notable similarities in their chemical properties. Both form nitrites, as shown in the reactions here. Both react slowly with water. Neither element forms compounds containing the superoxide ion. There are two other similarities worth mentioning about these two metals. First, their carbonates, when heated, decompose to form a metal oxide and carbon dioxide. Both the metals form water-soluble chlorides that are found as hydrates. Let's now talk about some important compounds of sodium. Sodium carbonate, sodium chloride, sodium hydroxide, and sodium hydrogen carbonate. Sodium carbonate, commonly known as washing soda, is a white, crystalline solid as shown in the photographs. It is typically found as a hydrate with 10 water molecules of crystallization, called sodium carbonate decahydrate. When heated, 9 of the water molecules of crystallization are typically removed, forming the monohydrate salt. Sodium carbonate is soluble in water, forming a colorless, clear solution. Above 373 Kelvin, it forms an anhydrous salt called soda ash. Most sodium carbonate is produced by the Solvay process, which was developed in the mid-1800s by Belgian chemist Ernest Solvay. This process, which has several steps, takes advantage of the low solubility of sodium hydrogen carbonate in water. Let's go through the steps of the Solvay process. In the first step, ammonium carbonate is synthesized from ammonia, water, and carbon dioxide, as shown in the reaction. Then, the ammonium carbonate formed in the first step is reacted with water and carbon dioxide to form ammonium hydrogen carbonate, as shown in the reaction given. Next, the ammonium hydrogen carbonate is combined with sodium chloride, and a sodium hydrogen carbonate precipitate is isolated. Upon heating, the sodium hydrogen carbonate decomposes to form water, carbon dioxide, and sodium carbonate. Finally, ammonia is recovered by reacting the ammonium chloride formed in step 3 of the process. Calcium chloride is the only byproduct of this entire process. Here's a practice problem for you to consider. Why can't we use the Solvay process to prepare potassium carbonate? Answer: potassium hydrogen carbonate is too soluble. It doesn't precipitate out of the solution when ammonium hydrogen carbonate reacts with potassium chloride. Sodium carbonate has a variety of household and industrial uses. It is used in water softening as well as in laundry and cleaning. It is used in the manufacture of glass and in the production of soap, borax, and caustic soda, otherwise known as sodium hydroxide. Sodium carbonate is also necessary in the paint, paper, and textile industries. Additionally, it is used in a variety of analytical techniques in the chemical laboratory. Sodium chloride is another important compound of sodium. Seawater is an important source of sodium chloride. When seawater is evaporated, it leaves behind crude sodium chloride, which contains several impurities including calcium sulfate, calcium chloride, and magnesium chloride. Sodium chloride is commonly used as table salt and in the preparation of other compounds that contain sodium, such as sodium hydroxide, sodium carbonate, and sodium peroxide. Like other ionic crystals, sodium chloride has a high melting point of 1081 Kelvin. The photograph here shows a halite crystal, which is a naturally occurring form of sodium chloride. As the green line in the solubility diagram shows the solubility of sodium chloride, is nearly independent of temperature. About 36 grams of sodium chloride can dissolve in 100 grams of water between 0 and 100 degrees Celsius. Another important compound that contains sodium is sodium hydroxide. In its pure form, it is a white solid, often sold in pellet form, as shown in the photograph. It is very caustic, so don't touch it. Sodium hydroxide melts at 591 Kelvin. It is deliquescent. It means that samples of sodium hydroxide left in the open will absorb water from the air and dissolve. Sodium hydroxide is very soluble in water. The preparation of a solution of sodium hydroxide is very exothermic. When preparing concentrated sodium hydroxide solutions, it is necessary to place the container in an ice bath. The solutions themselves are very basic due to the presence of hydroxide ions. Sodium hydroxide solutions will react with carbon dioxide to form sodium carbonate. Sodium hydroxide is used for a variety of purposes. It is used in the manufacture of soap, paper, and various textiles. It is used for refining petroleum, as a laboratory reagent, and in the preparation of fats and oils. Sodium hydroxide can be prepared by the electrolysis of brine solutions, that is, sodium chloride solutions, in the Kastner-Keller cell. A schematic diagram of this electrolytic cell is shown here. Recall that the cathode is where reduction occurs in an electrochemical cell. In the Kastner-Keller cell, mercury functions as the cathode. In the reduction half reaction, sodium ions combine with an electron to form a sodium-mercury amalgam. Oxidation occurs at the anode in an electrochemical cell. In the Kastner-Keller cell, a rod of graphite, a form of carbon, is used as the anode. In the oxidation half reaction, chloride ions form chlorine gas and release electrons. The sodium-mercury amalgam that forms at the cathode then reacts with water, releasing sodium hydroxide, mercury metal, and hydrogen gas. Baking soda, or sodium hydrogen carbonate, is another important compound that contains sodium. When heated, it decomposes, releasing bubbles of carbon dioxide. It is used in baking to make the cakes and pastries rise. One way to prepare sodium hydrogen carbonate is through the reaction of carbon dioxide with a solution of sodium carbonate, as shown here. Sodium hydrogen carbonate is also formed with the Solvay process. Baking soda is used for a variety of purposes. It is used in baking, of course. It can be used as a mild skin antiseptic, as a household cleaner, as an ingredient in mouthwash and toothpaste, and as treatment for indigestion due to acidity, that is, as an antacid. It is also used in certain types of fire extinguishers. Both sodium and potassium have important biological roles. They are present in relatively large amounts in the human body. In an average adult male with a body mass of 170 kg, about 90 grams of sodium and 170 grams of potassium are present. Compare this with the other essential nutrients. Only about 5 grams of iron and 0.06 gram of copper. This reflects the important roles both sodium and potassium ion play in the human body. Sodium ions are found primarily in blood plasma and the lymph fluid surrounding the cells. Sodium ions play important roles in nerve signal transmission, regulating the flow of water into the cells, and the transport of sugars and amino acids into the cells. By contrast, potassium ions are the most abundant cations inside the cells. Potassium ions play important roles in activating enzymes, as well as the oxidation of glucose to produce ATP. Along with sodium ions, potassium ions are required for sending nerve signals through the body. In a resting neuron, the concentration of potassium ions is about 30 times higher inside the cell than outside. The concentration of sodium ions outside the cell is about 10 times higher than inside the cell. There are sodium ion channels and potassium ion channels in the cell membranes. When these become activated, sodium ions rush into the cell and potassium ions flow into the cell. The movement of sodium and potassium ions against their concentration gradients causes the polarity of the membrane to charge momentarily. As this moves down the neuron, the nerve signal travels through the body. The sodium-potassium pump, a transmembrane protein in cell membranes, uses active transport to move sodium and potassium ions across cell membranes against the concentration gradients. In doing so, the sodium-potassium pump breaks down ATP molecules. This process alone accounts for about 1/3 of the ATP used in animal cells.